Hey, welcome to this episode of Fat Loss Secrets. I'm excited to have you join me today. I'm Angela. I'm a certified macronutrition coach and emotional eating expert. And I've also been a fitness competitor and in the fitness space for over 20 years. And now I'm over 40, fighting the good fight against weight gain, as I'm sure you may be right now. And I am here to support you along your journey. So, something that I want to focus on today, because this is common, you see it every January. If you happen to be someone who works out at a gym, like I know I do, like you get that first couple of weeks in January where the influx of people come in and take up all the machines and take up all the space. And then 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, it starts to get lighter and lighter and lighter. And usually by like Valentine's Day, that whole influx, that's kind of petered out a little bit, right? And that's such a great illustration of what happens to our motivation when we begin a new fitness goal or a new weight loss goal. Over time, what we see happening in the gym is our motivation begins to wane. And hence, the people that are paying their gym memberships, but never tend to show up ever again. And that's kind of what I want to focus on today, what to do or what you need to do or strategies or how you can continue to motivate yourself to keep going, especially in that messy middle when you have a weight loss goal, when things get hard or when things aren't working or when things get bored, because it's always easy to find the motivation the first couple of weeks or so when you start and it's like, ooh, shiny new object, shiny new thing. But then as you continue to keep going and it's more of a marathon, not a sprint, all of a sudden that's where you have to develop the skill of being able to motivate and keep yourself motivated. And that's what I want to focus on today. That's why I've asked Mary to join me today, because she, in my opinion, is such a great example of someone who just doesn't quit. Mary and I have been working together for several months now, and I am so excited to share her with you as my guest today. So, welcome to Fat Loss Secrets podcast, Mary. Thank you for joining.
Hey, Angela, thanks for having me.
I'm glad you agreed to this, because I know this is kind of a vulnerable thing to share your journey and to share the struggles and the things that have been going on. But the reason I wanted you to share it is because it's so relatable, and I think that you are such a great representation of what we all go through and what we all deal with, and just I like your attitude, and I think that's why you've been so successful in crushing your goals, is because you have this spirit and this attitude that's kind of an overcoming attitude. And sometimes that's hard for us to figure out how to incorporate, if you aren't naturally that type of a person, or even it's something that you kind of have to learn. So I'm glad you're here to share, what your experience has been with weight loss and how you figured out how to overcome things. I want you to, just so we can get to know you better, kind of start a little bit farther back, as far back as you feel comfortable, and just share a little bit about what your weight loss journey and your experience with weight loss has been like.
Okay. Yeah, like how far do we want to go back? Um, like probably a lot of women, I feel like I have been battling this most of my life, right? I discovered the weight room, the gym in college, and I've kind of got addicted. I've been a gym rat for 23 years, 24 years. So I've got that part down pat. Um, and then I just reached a point where I was tired of going clothes shopping and not liking how many things fit. And so um, financially, we were able at that point for me to hire my first personal trainer in 2007. And she really taught me a lot of great nutritional principles. I literally had no clue the value of calories and all that. So I had great success with that. And then, with having children, you gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight.
Yep.
And after my third, I was older. I was 36 when he was born. And the things that you used to be able to do in your 20s and 30s wasn't working anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're on that proverbial hamster wheel, spinning your wheels, doing all these things and getting nowhere and getting very discouraged. And it's very easy to be like, what? Why am I even doing this? Why am I like, I'm going nowhere?
Right.
I've tried different things over the years, different kind of, diets and even different type of workouts. And It's just, some of it's come off and then I gain it back. It's like I'm just gaining and losing the same 10 pounds because just something was not clicking. I was not getting something right. I'm spending all this time in the gym, but nothing is changing.
Right. And that's
And
and when that happens, like go back into that point of time that you can think of, like one of those instances, right? And what was that like emotionally for you? Like when you're because you like you said, you're spending your time in the gym.
yeah,
So, when you're doing all the work and you're not seeing any results, what did that feel like for you?
it sucked. It's like I felt like what, like, I mean, I love working out. I'm not gonna ever stop doing that, but like obviously you can't outwork out bad eating and bad nutrition. You cannot work out enough to overcome that. So for me, I know most of my issue is eating. I think I've heard some sort of like percentage, like 80% of what we look like is what we eat. Maybe that's
Mhm.
true. So I knew that changing things wasn't going to come from working out. Now I do love working out, I like how it makes me feel. But I knew it was going to come from food, and I love food. So I was like, that's that's the hardest thing, You're like, people like to eat. Food's good. Why is it so good?
Right. And it's easy and it's very pleasurable. And yeah, it's always the food. Like most of the people, I mean, I don't think I've ever run into somebody who's like, well, I eat fantastic. I just don't work out enough. It's always kind of comes down to the food. So take me to what was your mindset like, when you've had these moments of I'm going to the gym, I'm doing all the things, and you're dieting at that point, right? Where you're going to the gym.
But I obviously did not have the formula correct until I started working with you. But I kept trying different things because I'm like, okay, there's got to be something I'm not doing. There's something I'm missing, something that's not clicking. I'm doing the working out,
Right.
trying to eat as healthy as I can, good, but I just obviously was missing some piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And it's
And that's
very,
usually the case for people. There's usually like a piece of the puzzle that we just got to get into the right place and then it starts working again.
yeah, yeah.
So you're in the gym, you're dieting, and describe to me what kind of like what would you be your go-to when it comes to like dieting and stuff like that, just so we can kind of get a picture of what that looked like when you're trying these things and it just isn't working.
So I think the default for a lot of people is to go low carb or no carb.
Yep.
You know, I did keto at one point where you're essentially cutting out like a lot of fruits and a lot of vegetables. And I was probably doing it wrong. I did it for about 3 months, lost 12 pounds on it. I felt horrible,
Mm,
horrible, zero energy. But if someone's doing keto and finding success, great. That just was not for me.
yeah.
So I would cut out or try to cut out dessert and bread and like try to avoid all these foods. Like, I mean, we've been through this, like foods that I felt like I couldn't have
Right.
because that's not going to get me to my goal, which
Right.
then whole thing in your head of, oh my gosh, I've gone like 3 weeks without a brownie or a cookie and I can only take so much. I've got a threshold and now I'm going to lose my mind and eat it all.
Yep. Yep.
It's a
That's what happens with restriction. I mean, that's you can only take so much of pain, right? Until
yeah,
you're going to just go crazy.
yeah,
Especially if you're dealing with all this pain. I can't have, I shouldn't. Now I'm going to the gym. I like it, but still pain. I'm waking up sore. And the scale, what's going on with that?
the scale for me,
Yeah.
it's moving finally.
I mean, back when you were like doing the
Oh,
keto,
that's
yeah.
with scale. Or I would like gain and lose the same couple pounds. It was a vicious cycle.
Yeah. Did you ever have a moment in all of these things that you tried? Because I remember there was one point too where you were messaging me, you're like, I found this new program on Facebook and I'm gonna do it. And it's like a special hormone reset. And
Yeah,
it's like you were at the point where you
everything.
were willing to try whatever. You didn't care. You just wanted to get the result.
Yep.
Yeah. And so when you're doing all these things and you're not seeing, or you're kind of oscillating between, I lost 5 pounds, now I'm back up, now I lost 5 pounds, I back up, like, did you ever reach a point where you just wanted to give up? Did you ever reach a point where you're like, you know what, I'm just going to eat. I'm just going to eat and resign myself to be fat because none of this is working. I don't know what's wrong. And did you ever want to quit, basically?
Yes and no. Yes, because I felt like I just spinning my wheels for so long and getting nowhere, but I've done it before. I've lost weight enough times, significant amounts, enough times in my life with figure competition. And then after my first and second kid, like I've done it. I know it can be done. I know I can do it again. I'm older. I know there's something I'm missing. So yes, I wanted to give up, but at the same time, I was like, no, I know I can do this. I just got to figure out what is missing, what I'm doing wrong, or what I'm not doing right, whatever. It's there.
Gotcha. So it sounds to me like the key for your continued motivation, like when you were going through trying all these things and it was still giving you the same result, like up and down, was there was something deep inside of you that said, I know it can be done.
Because I've done it multiple times.
Because you've done it before. Yeah. So it was kind of like, I have the proof that I'm capable. I have the proof that my body can do it. I just need to find the right strategy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotcha. Because I'm hosting this free motivational webinar workshop. Actually, it's not a webinar; it's a workshop because it's interactive. But I'm hosting that in just a couple of weeks, and that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about. Is a lot of the motivation really comes down to what you say to yourself and what you believe. And when I talk to women that don't believe that they can lose weight, even the progress that they make, they discount it. And so, it really can be a make or break your perspective, like what you say to yourself, what your deep inner beliefs are, and what that core of, it comes down to belief. I know it can be done, so I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to find the way. And you weren't willing to let that go. So walk me through, where did that, when you're on your weight loss journey, because I think this is an important thing to kind of differentiate and unpack, because I don't think a lot of women realize that what I say to myself and what I actually believe about myself is the difference maker for whether I'm going to eventually get there or whether I'm not, or whether I feel motivated or where I'm not, right? So give me kind of an idea of, when it comes to losing weight, what are the types of things that you truly believe, that you've come to believe in your weight loss journey? Like, what types of things do you believe about yourself? What types of things do you believe about weight loss? What fuels that?
Well, something that, like, this has kind of become my mantra when I get to that point of like, this is not fun. I don't want to do this. I want to eat all the things, right? I tell myself, I'm stronger than that. I'm doing hard stuff. I can do this. And I really have said that enough to myself since you and I talked about that is what I tell myself. I used to beat myself up all the time about what I would eat if I ate stuff that I didn't think I should have ate, or that I, wasn't supposed to have, or whatever. Like, as women, we say terrible things to ourselves. So that has changed. I mean, obviously for the better. I really, really just stick to that. I'm stronger than this. I'm doing hard stuff. I'm going to get there. I'm stronger than this. Than anything mentally, I think I'm not going to be able to overcome, because it's really majority of it's mental. Yeah. It really
100%. Yeah. Because as you've described, you tried the keto, you tried the internet programs, you tried just tracking calories, you tried just giving up desserts and all those other things. And yet you were willing to keep coming back to the table because of this inner belief that there must be a way, there must be a way. So you had enough motivation to say, I know I can do it. I just need to keep finding the strategy.
Yeah.
Was there any doubt at all for you that you would find the strategy? Or was it just, I've got this unshakable belief that there is one out there? Did you ever have a moment where you're like, nothing has worked, nothing will work? I don't believe I'm going to find it.
I did. I did have that moment. I think I messaged you about that. I was like, I'm just like, for years, I've been spinning my wheels and just getting nowhere. Like, I've built the muscle. I've got the muscle. It's just hibernating, right? It's hiding. So now
Yeah.
I need to find a way to tweak the diet. Like I did have that moment of no matter what I do, it doesn't seem like anything works. So why bother? But I kept bothering. I kept trying, even though I was just so freaking discouraged.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm curious about. You're super discouraged, and yet your first, because there's plenty of people that are like, they get discouraged and they go back to their comfort zone on the couch. And they just put their head in the sand and la 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 la. I'm just gonna eat my way out of it. I'm just not gonna care. Right.
Yeah.
What for you do you think was the thing that made you say, I'm discouraged? I'm so discouraged, I have to figure this out. Like you actually used the discouragement to propel you into figuring it out.
Yeah. So I had done it 4 times before. I lost weight with my first trainer, lost weight for my figure competitions, lost more weight after my first and second kids than I gained. So 4 times now. I know I can do it. And I told myself, I was like, okay, you want to lose X amount of pounds. That could possibly take X time, 6 months, a year, whatever the time frame is. That seems like such a long time. But then guess what? That time's going to pass anyway. And then do I want to still be sitting in the same situation 6 months or a year from now going, whew, so glad I didn't waste a year trying to improve myself and get in shape and lose weight, man. Really dodged a bullet there. No, I'm going to be like either happy that I spent that time doing it because now I'm in a better place, or I'm going to wish I had started way back then. So like for me, those are the two options. Time's going to pass anyway. What are you going to do with it?
Got it. Wow. So so for you, you saw the passage of time not as like, what's the point? I'm just going to spend this year spinning my wheels again. I'm going to be there at the end, which is kind of a belief, and it's a story that we can tell ourselves, right? So I might as well enjoy myself this year or whatever. But instead, you were saying, no, I can't afford to lose another year. Time's going to pass. I need to figure this out because I'm going to get more if I figure it out and be closer to where I want to be if I figure it out and keep going.
Right.
Like
I
you
started.
saw a benefit.
Yes, I started working with you in June of 2023, and I told
Mhm.
you I told you months ago. I should have. I'm glad I started working with you. But like really, I don't want to get to what January 2025 and be sitting in the same spot going, I wish I had done this all year.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
totally makes sense. So I want to kind of focus on like, because this is another thing that we're going to be touching on the Motivate Me free workshop that I'm going to be having coming up here in a couple of weeks. And that is like the big why, because there's always a huge reason why we want to start a weight loss journey. You know, there's always something that we think the weight is going to do for us, but if the weight comes off, I'm going to get some sort of a reward, right? It's never about just the scale and I want to be 10 pounds lighter because that would be fun to see every time I step on the scale. It's not like that. It's really about what I think will happen to me if I lose weight and the benefits I get. And so I would love to hear just what was it for you that motivated you to want to engage in this journey again? Like what is your big motivating factor for wanting to get to your goal weight?
Yeah, there's like so many things.
Oh, good. Give them all to me.
Well, I have a closet full of like smaller clothes that I haven't fit into for years, so I'll have a new wardrobe without having to spend the money. Um, Physically, again, because I've been there several times, I know I feel better physically. Like I'm older now, my body's falling apart. I'm hoping, like I think I've heard every pound you lose takes off like 3 or 4 pounds of pressure from your joints, I think.
I think it's like 10 pounds,
Oh,
10 times. Yeah.
well,
Or something like that. Yeah. 10
it takes
pounds.
more off your joints than just the 1 pound that you lose, right? So I've got like my knees hurt, my feet hurt. I'm hoping that will help some of my physical, issues. And I just feel better in my skin. I feel more confident. I notice that I carry myself differently. I've already started carrying myself differently. Like just the way I walk, I notice it at the gym, and I'm not even anywhere close to where I want to be.
Yeah.
So I feel better physically. I feel better mentally. I feel better about myself, just how I look. It's just like a lot of different reasons.
I love that. So this is about, you got the clothes, which is fun, but then we get deeper into, I want to feel better in my body because that's something I have to live with every single day. And I can either take care of it now and make it easier on myself for the future and invest in that now, or I can keep letting it deteriorate and get more achy and,
and
horrible feeling.
Another big thing, I will go back to clothes. I'm not a small girl, if you know me in real life. I cannot just walk into Target, Walmart, Kohl's, Macy's, whatever, and usually be able to try on any article of clothing and it just fits and I can buy it. And that's a goal of mine, is to just be able to walk into a store and try on a bathing suit or try on a pair of pants, jeans, whatever, what have you, a dress, and know that I'm gonna be able to walk in there and find something that's gonna fit me.
Yeah. And when you reflect, even just in this couple of minutes that we took, like reflecting on what makes you want to do this, what makes you want to show up every day, go to the gym, eat the way you need to see results. Like when you think about these big things that you want for your life, how motivating is it for you, even just right now, just saying them out loud, just kind of reflecting on them? Let's say scale of 1 to 10.
Scale of 1 to 10, how impactful is it to think about these things?
Like how motivating is it to you just to hear yourself talk about it?
Oh, that's a 10.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Like how often do we, when we're on a diet or we're on a weight loss journey, just something to think about, not necessarily for you, but for all of us, right? How often are we actually, every time we make a meal, every time we choose to go to the gym, every time we say no to something because it's, I need to stick to my plan or whatever, if we would repeat, because I really don't want to be in pain anymore, because I can't wait to shop in the shops that I want to shop in and not have to worry about sizing, because I want to experience what it's like to have more energy for my kids, right? How often do people tend to do that? And I would bet that it's very little, even those of us that are highly motivated, But in just what you were saying, what I find so interesting is like the more that you can repeat, I'm doing this because, I'm doing this because, I'm doing this because, I'm doing this becomes, it suddenly gives you that instant little boost.
Yeah. It becomes your new.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the things that you mentioned that you do regularly is a huge key with that is you have your mantra. You have your mantra that you repeat to yourself. So share, just so that we can see how that works in like a real life situation. I know you kind of briefly touched on it earlier, but I want to go back to that and paint for me the picture of a situation where you didn't want to, stick to what your plan was, but you used your mantra, you used your mind, you directed your thoughts, and you did what you had to do to stay motivated to keep going.
Well, get-togethers are a big thing for me. It can be very hard to want to stick to your plan when you see all this food that you want to eat, but it doesn't really fit macros. You don't want to say you can't have it, but it really does fit your plan. So I just go into it and I tell myself, like, listen, this is your plan. You're stronger than this. You're doing hard stuff. You got this. You're stronger than this. And I think about how am I going to feel the next morning when I go to do my weigh-in and I indulged the night before and ate more macros than I should have. How am I going to feel? I'm going to go back to feeling not great about myself. I'm going to go back to talking smack about myself. And I don't want that.
Got it.
About how good I'm going to feel the next day, knowing I stayed on track. I still had fun with my friends. I didn't miss out on that. But I also didn't miss out on, my progress the next day.
Yeah. And how does it feel showing up like that? Like when you show up that way, how does that affect your motivation to be able to, because like the messy middle is the toughest part, right?
Right.
Where you've been doing this for a while and now you have a social event and you're like, I'm
Yeah.
so sick of saying no, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about that messy middle and how this strategy has affected your motivation or helped it, or whatever, what you've experienced using the strategy to kind of get you through that middle point.
So, I mean, it increases my motivation for sure, because I'll go through cycles of where I will eat way more than I should and think, oh man, I've already screwed up. I've fallen off the wagon. Let me just make it official for
Right.
but then into the next day, well, I screwed up yesterday. Let me just go ahead and screw today up. And then that can lead to several days or more of that kind of thinking and eating. And then I've got to like undo all that. So when I stay on track, when I have that discipline around food, because let's face it, that's hard. That's hard to do. It's hard to do that.
Yes.
When I have that discipline when it comes to food and I see that I'm making progress, that just motivates me even more. And for me, I've like really changed how I have thought about, I think about food. I think about how I think about weekends, how I think about social settings. Like the weekend is not just licensed to just, let's get all week. Let me just eat whatever and totally undo what I did Monday through Friday. That took me, I think, 6 months to get my head screwed on straight about
It's
that.
tough for us all. I mean, it's the fight we all fight,
But for the discipline I have with working out, like 23 years, that's just who I am. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You do things enough and it becomes a habit, and then it feels weird when you don't do it, right? That's how it is for working out. So I'm now in, I guess, the process of transferring that discipline to nutrition and food too. And I'm getting there. I'm a lot further along with that than I was. So each time I stay strong, each time I stick to my plan, each time I do what I know I should do, know what I'm supposed to do, I feel that much stronger moving. And I'm going to have even more resolve going into other tough, what would be tempting situations.
I love this. So like what I'm hearing you say is you see your growth over time, and that's motivating to you.
Yes.
Because it's not just scale progress. You're seeing mental, emotional progress. You're seeing a change in how you show up and how you feel about yourself and how you feel about this subject and how you feel in this area of your life. And so that feels motivating just as much as the scale, because you've grown as a person in this journey. And which is really the goal, to be honest, because the scale, I got news for you. When you're 92 years old, the scale is going to be totally different than what the scale looks like today, right? Like the scale is just going to be up, down, whatever. You're never going to be, I think Mr. Rogers was the only person I've ever heard in history. Like he always weighed himself. He had a certain ritual for weighing himself after swimming. I heard about, and he always weighed exactly the same. Okay, well, nobody does that. Okay, they're like one person in history. The scale's going to be there and do its thing. You're going to need to gain weight, lose weight, whatever. But who you become is eternal. That's the place of this journey that you get to keep. And it sounds like what you're saying is because you've seen such a growth and a change in yourself, you're motivated because of who you are, because of how you're showing up and how proud you feel of yourself. And that's something you get to control. Like you can't control the scale.
Yeah.
But you can control how you show up and how you choose to be. And it sounds like every time you've had to make these choices and use your mantra, it's actually grown your motivation because it's grown your belief in yourself.
Yes. Yeah. I am proud of myself. I feel
You
like
should be.
I feel like I have come a long way just since last summer, and just my mental attitude about this whole topic, weight loss,
Yeah.
food.
Yeah, 100%. And then when you're like in that motivated space where you're like, I'm killing it, I'm slaying it, I know I can do it, I know I'm not there yet, I know it's possible, and I know I can, and I'm proud of how I showed up today, and I'm proud of the progress I'm making today. And, then how hard is it for you to take the actions that you need to take in order to keep it going?
Yeah, it makes it so much easier because I
Yeah.
like my mentally how I feel, physically I'm liking how I'm feeling, how I'm starting to look. And I know I feel like I finally tapped into, like, I don't want to say the magic formula, but really the magic formula. I know what I'm supposed to be eating, how much I'm supposed to be eating. I'm seeing results. But first, I had to play around with, can I try to beat the system? Can I go around it? Can I help her push it? Because I've done that. And there's no substitution for just doing the work.
Everybody wants to find the shortcut, the thing, they want to beat the system. I even have clients that are on some of the weight loss drugs, like the shots and stuff like that. And I got news for you. You still have to eat right and exercise in order for the shots to work. So that is not a shortcut.
Yeah. Look, if there was a magic pill, I mean, that's what we all want. We want the magic pill. Like, it's hard work, discipline, dedication to hit your goals like that. And it took me 6 months to wrap my brain around doing it, thinking about it in the way that I am now so that it can work. It's not just as easy as like, okay, this is what I should eat every day. Okay, cool. It's not that easy. For me anyway. For other
And
people.
it sounds like too, you accept that there will be challenges, because I think sometimes people get frustrated when a challenge pops up. It's almost like we look at social media, Instagram, Facebook, commercials on TV for weight loss programs, and it looks like, oh, it just went boom, or maybe you did like a crazy diet, you did Optavia, or you did like a medical fast or something like that, and it's like it was so fast, so easy,
Really,
there it goes. Right. And so there are these realistic expectations that I'm not going to be challenged at all. I'm just going to do the thing, and the scale will go and I'll be there in 2 months, 3 months, right? I can lose 3 pounds a week. I can make that happen. And what really happens, what really looks like, is completely different. And so people get discouraged when the challenge pops up. And it's kind of like, oh, I started to lose weight and then the scale didn't move, and boop, there it is, scale not moving. And it's like, well, what do I do now? What do I do now? And so many people are like, oh, I'm failing, I'm doing it wrong, the challenge popped up and I don't know why. When the perspective on the challenge that it sounds like you have is, okay, let me figure out how to overcome this. This is going to grow me and change me.
Mm-hmm.
I can grow past it. It's a growth opportunity. It's all in how you see the challenge. And you don't sound like somebody who doesn't expect challenges to pop up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, how do we get through the challenge? Not,
Yeah.
oh no, another challenge, I must be failing.
Yeah. And that Christmas trip we did, I knew, I was like, okay, I'm probably going to gain a couple pounds when we get back. Normally before, that would have discouraged me.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What about that would have discouraged you?
Like just seeing the scale go back up that much. Most of it's water weight. It would have discouraged me. And I don't know, maybe a couple years ago, I would have thrown my hands up and, see, it's pointless. But now I know, just get back on track. Just get back on track. Just get back on track. Just get back on track.
Yeah, because you have a system. You have a system that you believe in. That I just got to start the system again. It'll go, and I'll be back to where I need to be, and I'll keep walking forward. It's because I bet before it felt like I've got to tunnel out of this now.
Yeah.
I'm even further away, and I don't know how I got to where I was. I don't know how to get back.
Yeah.
So what would you tell somebody who's listening right now that just feels weight loss is impossible? They, like you, maybe are like, okay, I know I've done it before. So yeah, I know my body can do it. At least it's done it before, but everything's different and I'm discouraged and I cannot figure out why. And I just I'm struggling to even try. I'm struggling to, like, what would you say to a person that's in that situation?
That's a good question. My first question for people who have I've had conversations with like this is I will ask them, do you know how much you're eating in a day? Do you know how much you should be eating in a day? I mean, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian. I just like it. I've just done this so many times now, it's practically a sport.
Yeah.
And so I will recommend they get like MyFitnessPal. Now, my MyFitnessPal recommendation for the fat, carbs, and protein may be off for their activity level and whatnot, but at least it's kind of a place to start because, you know, it might be a matter of you're eating too much, but it also might be you're not eating enough. And there's kind of a fine line
That's
there.
definitely true. Yeah. And what advice would you give them as far as, finding the courage to keep going, or finding the courage to do what you did, which is, I'm going to keep trying strategies until I find the one that works for me?
I guess I would ask them what I asked myself is, where do you want to be in 6 months or a year?
Mm.
You know, do you want to spend the next 6 months continuing to do what you're doing, or keep trying, keep working at it, because that time's going to pass anyway. And, you know, you can spend that time even just walking, doing some sort of exercise, tracking your food, making good food choices. Or, 6 months or a year from now, you could be in the same spot wishing I had started 6 months ago, or I wish I had started a year ago, even doing something, anything to change, from where I was at.
That's
Hopefully that makes.
powerful. No, it totally does. That is such a powerful question, and I love that you brought it up. It's what I use with clients too, and people all the time. That, where do you want to be in 6 months? It's easy to say in the moment, I'm just going to eat. It doesn't matter. None of my efforts matter anyway. And then if you really put it through the lens of, okay, great, I'm going to do this for 6 months. Am I really happy with where I am in 6 months? If this is my attitude, if this is my belief, am I okay with that?
I've had
That's
that.
huge.
Yep.
Yeah, we all have. I have
Not-
too. Yeah. And usually if you kind of have, it's like a truth filter. Once you hold it up to that lens of, okay, 6 months of this, where are you at? Are you happy with that decision? Usually people are like, no, because there's more in you. You're capable. I think most people do believe. I mean, if you have a desire in there for a reason, and it's not because you don't have a desire that was given to you that you can't obtain. Nobody does. It's just a matter of, are you willing to honor that desire to the point where you're willing to get the help or the strategies or figure it out, to be able to do it. And honestly, that's what I'm wanting to do in the upcoming free workshop that I'm hosting, how to get motivated and stay motivated to lose weight. I just kind of dub it Motivate Me, my Motivate Me workshop. We want to tap you into all the things, everything that Mary shared during this time. Honestly, there's some strategy behind how we can get you to do and repeat and do the things and say the things that Mary shared, that she naturally or has learned to be able to put into her weight loss journey to stay motivated and to get over the hump and to overcome discouragement and stuff. And I'm going to show you how everything she said is really a formula that you can put in and you can follow. And we're going to reconnect you to the big reason why you started this journey in the first place, which is usually the first place when people get demotivated, they've unplugged from that motivation. They've unplugged from, why am I doing this? And they've plugged into only the discouragement, only focusing on the pain, only what's happening right now. And so the first thing we got to do is plug you back into why you're choosing to do this in the first place. And then we're going to go through and unravel the formula of what you need to be doing every single day and how you can grow and create your own motivation from inside of you that you can tap into anytime you need it, anytime you want to. And as was demonstrated today in this interview, it can be done because Mary has successfully been doing it for years to figure out how she can keep going, figure it out, get unstuck, and then find the right strategy that has worked for her. So I want to invite you to the free workshop. It's coming up on January 29th. And if you're listening past January 29th and the workshop's already happened, the good news is I do have a replay that I can send to you. Just let me know that you're looking for it in the comments and I'll be happy to send it out. So I want to thank you, Mary, for sharing your journey and just being real and honest and like pulling back the curtain on what a real weight loss journey looks like, because I really feel like with all the marketing and all the highlights and all the you can do it quick, you can do it easy, it doesn't have to be a struggle. Well, it doesn't have to be a struggle, but it doesn't mean you're not going to have challenges. Like there's a difference between a struggle and a challenge. And you're such a great example of what the honest fight every single day to empower yourself to lose weight really looks like. And so I'm so glad that you shared it with us today.
Oh, thank you for asking me, and you're welcome. That was fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us on this week's edition of Fat Loss Secrets. Until next time, bye.
Bye.